For me, the word release is what really came out to me. I myself am dealing with a lot of forgiveness issues with people in my life. On this week's previous show, we spoke with a guest, Linda Markowitz, who had an amazing story about her daughter who had been murdered. And she had to forgive the person who murdered her daughter and then ended up loving him, forgiving him, taking him in as her own child. She wrote to him every week, made weekly calls in prisons for 21 years. She's even the one who picked him up from prison. This is not only an amazing story about grace and understanding the depth of grace that God has for us, because I don't think any of us can actually conceive that in an earthly manner, but understanding forgiveness. And she speaks about using the word release to let us understand how to forgive in a really healthy way. And I think her story was so moving. I think the thing that I took away from it most was the release. I've heard her story so many times. For my producer, this was his first time, and that was extremely moving for him as well. He was just so sweet that after we were done taping, he came in and hugged her and just had tears in his eyes. And he was just so emotionally, this is the first time he had ever heard this story, and he was so emotionally driven by it. And even though Linda has told this story so many times, I've heard it. I've heard Benny Hinn speak on this story, which is just moving. He speaks on it when he talks about grace. He doesn't mention her personally, but he speaks on the topic of somebody having to forgive their child. And this whole concept, when you understand it, I've heard it many times. I still to this day am in awe with her ability to be obedient, to be forgiving and truly loving. And it took her a minute, but she talks about this. It's not something I don't think a lot of us would do. But when you are going to choose to follow God and be that level of obedient, this is what she talks about and what her choices were. For me, the word release is what really came out to me. I myself am dealing with a lot of forgiveness issues with people in my life. More importantly, my ex, which we touch on that story later, and the atrocities and heinousness that I witnessed him pulling. And that's hard. When she used the word replacing forgiveness with release, it made it so much easier. We are not responsible for the outcome. We're not responsible for the punishment, but God is a just God. God is a vengeful God. God will avenge us. He literally, he will go out of his way to take care of this situation. And we have to remember that. I think I've said it a million times. I just told someone this the other day. Remember, our God is the same God that drowned an Egyptian army to get the Israelites out of Egypt. He's also the same God that made them wander in the desert for 40 years for doubting him. But I mean, it's all, in perspective. Just don't doubt and remember he'll kill for you. I do believe that that is an important message, and we can laugh at that because it is funny, but it's very true. And through this whole process for me and my story, I had to remember he actually is a just God. I've already won this. He is taking care of this situation. He's not going to let it go unpunished. He gives people enough room and enough rope to hang themselves with. And then he lets them do it. And I will tell you right now, when I heard her say release, it helped me tremendously to move with the process. I was having some blockers and some issues with self-forgiveness and forgiveness and just doubt and not understanding. And this cleared it up pretty quickly. Within the time we taped until now, it has been a tremendous turnaround. Like tremendous turnarounds. And I have been able to not only release those things, but I've seen a huge improvement in my ability to refocus, realign, and be open to receive, understand, and just start going through with my own process. If you have unforgiveness in your life and you have too much anger, too much resentment, and you are living on the line of negativity, and you are living in that line, you're going to attract all of that gross, dark negativity. And when you don't do that, when you aren't constantly trying to live on revenge, unforgiveness for yourself, and not taking responsibility for your actions, you're going to attract all of that. When you let it go, and I hate the word let it go because sometimes it means you're supposed to just be the one that gets kicked down in that situation. I don't think that's true. I don't think let it go is the right word. I think is proceed on with faith, trust, and obedience, because we're not letting it go. We're understanding that God's in control and he is not going to let our hurts go unseen. And I was having a lot of problems of blockers in my life. And that moment, that time, it really helped. It helped so tremendously that I'm going to tell you, I think the show is going to be great for you. I absolutely want to have her on back on to talk about forgiveness again. And we want to have Ray on to talk about the book and his portion of it. I think it's a tremendous message, tremendous show. I'm very excited for you guys to see it. So that was Tiffany's take. And I want you to rewatch. If you haven't watched, watch for the first time Linda's Markowitz's last episode with us about forgiveness. It's amazing. And please join us next week with Dom Pesci, our finance guy. No, he's not a mobster. I know it sounds like it, but he's actually about finance, and he's going to talk to you about the Stellar Network and crypto coins. And I want to help you turn, well, crypto coins into your future cash. See you soon.